Hello and welcome to the weekly highlights program on Azərbaycan Television with the major developments of the week. I'm your host, Rövşən Məmmədov. Now first, let's take a brief look at some of the top stories of this week. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces İlham met with the leadership and a group of military personnel of the Azerbaijani army on the occasion of the Armed Forces Day at Gülistan Palace. This week, President İlham held a number of receptions. On June 26, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, victorious Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces İlham viewed conditions created at a newly commissioned military camp of the military unit of the Air Force of the Ministry of Defense, as well as apartments for the families of Air Force servicemen.
President victorious Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces İlham viewed conditions created at a newly commissioned military camp of the military unit of the Air Force of the Ministry of Defense.
Fərəqət! Möhtərəm Prezident Cənab Ali Başkomandan Ensaylı Hərbi Sabah Baxışa hazırdır. Müdafiə Naziri General Polkovnik Həsənov. Salam Cənab Prezident. Azad!
Cənab Prezident Hərbi Hava Yolları Komandanı General Tantayırov.
Providing information about the work done in the military camp, Defense Minister Zakir Hasanov said that all conditions had been created in the staff building to enable high-level performance of the military unit command. A club will also operate in the area. Among the reforms carried out under the leadership of President İlham in recent years in the field of army construction, work to strengthen its material and technical infrastructure, special places occupied by the creation of new military units and military camps. The core refurbishment of existing ones. Military units both in the capital and in the regions have been renovated to a modern level. New military units and townships have been laid. And this being an indicator of the attention paid to the building of the army at the state level is also of exceptional importance in improving the conditions of service and increasing the combat effectiveness of military personnel. Undoubtedly, the main support of our army is high combat training, professionalism, and the desire for victory of our soldiers and officers. The patriotic war demonstrated that our army is ready for any dedication and has the military power to liberate our historical lands from occupation. It's no coincidence that today the heroism shown by the Azerbaijani soldier in the patriotic war is cited as an example in the prestigious higher military schools of the world. President Commander-in-Chief İlham arrived at the starting position of S-300 PMU-2 favorite surface-to-air missile system, which is on the combat duty. The provision of the Azerbaijani army with modern military equipment and ammunition has always been in the spotlight of the Commander-in-Chief. The patriotic war also proved that the steps taken by the Azerbaijani state to strengthen the material and technical infrastructure of the army, introduce new and modern types of weapons and military equipment, are the result of a wise and far-sighted policy. Azerbaijani armed forces are rated among the strongest armies in the world by international military research centers. President Commander-in-Chief İlham was also informed of the mobile command station, which is provided with state-of-the-art and modern equipment. It was noted that the station provided for simultaneous control of various types of anti-aircraft missile systems, radar, radio-technical reconnaissance, radio-electronic means of combat, reconnaissance and strike drones, army, fighter and attack aircraft. The technical capabilities of the command station, which takes into account the experience of the battles of the Patriot War, fully meet the requirements of the wars of the 21st century. The Commander-in-Chief then was informed of units of the Air Force military equipment. Then President İlham viewed conditions in new apartments for the families of Air Force servicemen.
Cənab Prezident Yeni Alsanov, özünü təqdim etsin.
Defense Minister Zakir Hasanov briefed the President on the conditions in apartments. Improving the living conditions of Azerbaijani army personnel is a constant focus of attention. To this end, in recent years, official housing units have been built in the capital and in the regions. Substantial funds were allocated from the President's Reserve Fund for this purpose, which is very rare in the world practice. In this case, Azerbaijan is also at the forefront and demonstrates innovations. The new military camp for Air Force officers and ensigns consists of 48 apartments in 2 buildings. The apartments of servicemen are fully fitted for a comfortable family life. The state's concern for our servicemen who have devoted their lives to the glorious profession of defending the motherland also includes an increase in the salaries for rank and official salaries and the application of numerous benefits. All this has made it possible to raise the Army's moral and physical training to the highest level, since the Army is the guarantor of our independence and territorial integrity. Its power was embodied in its loyalty to the people and state, love for the motherland.
President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, İlham met with the leadership and a group of military personnel of Azerbaijani Army on the occasion of the Armed Forces Day at Gülistan Palace. The victorious Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, İlham made a speech at the event.
Azərbaycan Respublikasının Prezidenti Cənab İlham Əliyev.
Salam cənab zabitlər. Əyləşin.
President İlham Əliyev congratulated our servicemen and people on the Armed Forces Day. Then a minute of silence to honor the memory of the patriotic war martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan was observed. The head of state said that we avenged the deaths of our martyrs on the battlefield. The blood of our servicemen and martyrs did not remain on the ground. The Second Karabakh War resulted in a complete victory for Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has ensured its territorial integrity, historical justice and international law on the battlefield, said President İlham Əliyev, calling it a historic achievement, and added that there has never been such a brilliant victory in the centuries-old history of our people. Noting that this victory was achieved through a long process of preparation, the Supreme Commander-in-Chief said that above all, successes were achieved at the international level, and international organizations adopted decisions and resolutions supporting our position. At the same time, President İlham Əliyev noted the strengthening of bilateral relations, growing number of our friends, and active participation in this process of countries such as Turkey, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, as well as the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Non-Aligned Movement. Furthermore, President İlham Əliyev stressed that our country has gained economic strength and independence in this area, noting that our country has not depended on anyone for many years. Noting that measures have been taken to equip our army in the past, the head of state said that today the Azerbaijani army is one of the strongest armies in the world. We have created a strong state, and today's Azerbaijan is the most powerful Azerbaijan in its entire history, and Azerbaijan has never been stronger in its centuries-old history, said President İlham Əliyev. It was a celebration of justice, pride and national dignity. It was a celebration of the indomitable spirit of the Azerbaijani people. President İlham Əliyev also emphasized that Azerbaijan will continue to strengthen its power. Relevant instructions have already been given, new contracts have been signed, and the process of purchasing new weapons, equipment and machinery based on modern technologies has begun. At the same time, the structural reforms of the armed forces have been approved, and the number of the army will be increased. The head of state reiterated that we can perform any military duty and no one can stop us. Armenia should note that the Iron Fist remains in place.
Eşk olsun Azərbaycan ordusuna, Qarabağ Azərbaycandır.
June 26 is the Armed Forces Day. On this occasion, a post was made on the official social media accounts of President İlham Əliyev. The post says, "Our victorious army, which liberated the Azerbaijani lands from occupation, fulfilled its historic mission. Long live the Azerbaijani army. Karabakh is Azerbaijan." This week, President İlham Əliyev held a number of receptions. On June 21st, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham Əliyev, received Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Mukhtar Teleberdi.
Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Mukhtar Tlyuberdi, extended Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev's and First President of Kazakhstan, Elbasi Nursultan Nazarbayev's greetings to the President of Azerbaijan. President İlham Aliyev sang for the Kazakh head of states and the Kazakh First President's greetings and asked the Deputy Prime Minister to convey his greetings to Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and Nursultan Nazarbayev. The sides noted that the foundation of friendly and fraternal relations between the two countries had been led by great leader Heydar Aliyev and the first president of Kazakhstan, Elbasi Nursultan Nazarbayev, adding that this policy is being successfully continued by the Azerbaijani and Kazakh presidents. It was emphasized that regular contacts between the presidents created a good basis for the development of bilateral cooperation. Pointing out economic relations, the sides stressed the importance of developing investment projects and transport corridors, as well as the significance of increasing the volume of cargo transportation and creating more favorable conditions for the unification of tariffs in the coming years. The meeting also mentioned that the increase in trade was one of the important issues on the agenda. The sides expressed hope that the turnover would be restored and increase after the pandemic. In this regard, the parties emphasized the importance of diversifying trade economic cooperation and expanding mutual exports. Close ties between the two countries in the field of international cooperation were underscored. Mukhtar Tlyuberdi sincerely congratulated the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan and the people of Azerbaijan on the restoration of the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, on the implementation of relevant UN Security Council resolutions, and on the victory. He said the victory enhanced peace and security in the region.
On June 21st, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham Aliyev, has received Chief of Army Staff of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, General Qamar Javid Bajwa.
Glad to see you. Welcome. Hope you'll have a very productive visit to our country, and it will strengthen even more our close partnership relationship. We are very glad that the relations between our countries develop very successfully. Pakistan and Azerbaijan, as two brotherly countries, strengthen their bilateral ties. We especially are grateful for a very active position of support by Pakistan of Azerbaijan during the Second Karabakh War. From the very first days of the war, high leadership of your country, President and Prime Minister, expressed their full support to Azerbaijan in restoration of our territorial integrity. And this is a very important element of our cooperation and a true demonstration of our brotherly relations. Other high-ranking officials of Pakistan, members of parliament and public figures supported us throughout the 44 days war, which ended in a total defeat of Armenian army and restoration of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. So Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has been resolved by Azerbaijan by force and by political means. Also, I'd like to mention that Pakistan is one of the few countries which did not recognize Armenia and did not establish diplomatic relations with Armenia because of occupation of our lands. And this is another demonstration of brotherly relations between our countries. Azerbaijani people know it. We always deliver the message about who supports Azerbaijan and who supported us during the war. And therefore, it is not a surprise that the Pakistani flags are all around the city and the country. And the brotherhood between our countries and nations will strengthen as a result of that. As you know, Azerbaijan always supports Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir. Our straightforward position has been demonstrated many times, and this position is based on justice, international law, and our brotherly relations. We need to support our brothers in all the issues. And as a chairman of non-aligned movement, Azerbaijan is actively defending international law and justice. And I'm very grateful to to the President of Pakistan for his personal participation at the summit in Baku and his support to our initiatives within the non-aligned movement. Our cooperation developed successfully. In the area of defense and defense industry, we demonstrate a very high level of partnership. Your visit to our country is another indicator of that. We are happy to have an access to Pakistani defense industry products, and as you know, we purchase these products which strengthen our military potential. And in the coming years, I think we need to expand our military cooperation and to plan joint military training and some other initiatives in order to strengthen our partnership. I'm sure these and many other issues will be on your agenda as topics of discussions with your colleagues. I wish you a pleasant stay. Welcome once again.
Chief of Army Staff of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, General Qamar Javid Bajwa, conveyed the greetings of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, to the President of Azerbaijan. President İlham thanked for the greetings of the Prime Minister of Pakistan and asked him to convey his greetings to Imran Khan.
First of all, it's a great honor to be meeting you, and in the first place, please accept heartiest congratulations on a historic victory by defeating Armenia and recapturing your territory. I think it means great to every Muslims, every Pakistanis that despite heavy odds, the entire world against you've been able to recover your country. So our compliments, heartiest congratulations. Secondly, I just want to mention that in 1993, one of my friends came to Azerbaijan. And when he went back, he was quite disappointed. But he came here last year and he was amazed and said, your illustrious father and under your leadership, Azerbaijan has developed in the last 30 years immensely. So he was highly appreciative. I thought I must tell you. And Your Excellency, like Azerbaijan, we have a common denominator, that is Turkey. Turkey, as you've been saying, one nation, two states. So Turkey is also very, very close to our heart. The closest relationship in the world that we have is with Turkey. And with all three countries having so close relationship, I think the sky is the limit for our cooperation. There are many opportunities that we can explore in Azerbaijan. Our businessmen can come here.
The issues of cooperation in the fields of transport, logistics, energy and trade turnover were also discussed at the meeting.
On June 23rd, President İlham Aliyev received Minister of Economy of the United Arab Emirates, Abdullah bin Touk Al-Marri.
United Arab Emirates Minister of Economy Abdullah bin Touk Al-Marri conveyed greetings of President of the United Arab Emirates Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, ruler of Dubai Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to the head of state. President İlham Aliyev thanked for the greetings and asked the minister to extend his greetings to the President of the United Arab Emirates, Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, ruler of Dubai and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. Abdullah bin Touk Al-Marri said he was glad to pay his first official visit to Azerbaijan since he took office in July last year. The sides pointed out the high level and successful development of political relations between Azerbaijan and the United Arab Emirates and hailed the two countries' support for each other both within the international institutions and at the bilateral level. Touching upon the economic relations, the sides noted successful cooperation in this field, adding that exports from Azerbaijan to the United Arab Emirates have increased. They also stressed the importance of implementing work to define new investment opportunities, increase trade and expand business ties in the spirit of the partnership relations between the two countries in the years to come.
On June 23rd, President İlham Aliyev also received High Representative for the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, Miguel Ángel Martínez.
You cannot imagine how so glad I am myself, no? I was glad to be back. I was extremely glad to have opportunity yesterday to see, one of your great achievements, and I think I had a very moving day.
Yeah, you saw it.
I saw it, but I was telling them, my friend, the minister, and I said in my statement, the final statement done, I have a sense of mixed feelings, you know. The first is to see what I have never seen in my political and professional life, how there is nothing, has been a total destruction. So you become sad how in the 21st century you could witness such a... But then the second element that was, I think, when my tour in Agdan was good, because then your special representative showed me, you know, the plan for the future. And so you feel there is a great vision, President. So there is a possibility to already, and you see the roads, you see the people engaged, you see the dynamism, the very strong feeling of pride at the same time of new, you know, this Azerbaijan always moving forward and now with more strength. So really I feel, you know, I feel always a friend of Azerbaijan, but this time I'm proud, you know, to be with you and trying to modestly accompany your efforts and your foreign ministry and Minister of Culture in my new mission as High Representative of the United Nations Alliance on Civilization. So thank you very much for receiving me and having the opportunity to preview what we can do together.
Thank you very much for visiting us, and also thank you for visiting liberated territories. And you know, you talked about your feelings. I think everybody has the same feelings. And when I visited after the war first time Agdam, I had the feeling of sadness, because the feeling of sorrow, and at the same time the feeling of decisiveness to rebuild the city. And you probably were informed that less than in 1 month's time, we already launched the process of reconstruction. You saw everything is destroyed. At the same time, there are 97,000 mines only in Agdam district. Only from Armenia we managed to get the mine maps for Agdam district, but in other districts there are hundreds of thousands of mines which they refuse to give us the maps, and we already had more than 100 casualties. After the war stopped, almost 30 people were killed, and more than 100 severely injured from landmines and personal mines and anti-tank mines, including 2 journalists who died in the beginning of this month. And you know, they destroyed the cities not during the war, the first Karabakh war, but after. They destroyed it systematically within almost 30 years after the first Karabakh war stopped, for several reasons. First, in order to take all these construction materials, because the houses were demolished and the stones were taken. So it was a kind of a robbery. And second, in order not to allow Azerbaijanis to return, because they thought that after this total devastation, nobody will return. And it's not only cities, but villages. When you go, for instance, when I go in other directions, for instance, to Jabrail, and you also been to Fizuli in Zangil and Kubatli, it is the same. All the villages, all the cities destroyed. And now we need to clean it from mines, and also in parallel to start reconstruction. But we already accumulated all our efforts, mobilized our resources, and big infrastructure projects have started already. Probably you're informed about that. And we will rebuild it, and we will demonstrate, I think, a unique experience in the world, from this kind of devastation to development to very decent living standards for people. So thank you for visiting those areas. It's a really sign of your sympathy with those who suffered from war, from long-lasting occupation, and sign of support.
On June 25th, President İlham Aliyev received Foreign Minister of Romania, Bogdan Aurescu, Foreign Minister of Austria, Alexander Schallenberg, Foreign Minister of Lithuania, Gabrielius Landsbergis, and a delegation of the European Union who are on a visit to Azerbaijan, mandated by High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Vice President of the European Commission, Josep Borrell.
Stressing the successful cooperation with the European Union, President İlham Aliyev said that Azerbaijan has signed and adopted documents and agreements on strategic partnership with 9 member states. The head of state saying that he considers this a great achievement of our country since it makes up a third of the member states and shows that the sphere of cooperation is really wide, covers many areas of mutual interest, significance, stressed that 3 years ago the European Union and Azerbaijan were initial a document concerning the priorities of partnership, support for territorial integrity, sovereignty and viability of internationally recognized borders. Taking into account that this visit is dedicated to the current situation after the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, President İlham Aliyev said that the main fundamental approach to the post-conflict situation will be developed in the current and next years. Azerbaijan's position is very clear in this context, stressing that Azerbaijan wants to move from a post-conflict situation to peaceful development and cooperation in the South Caucasus. President İlham Aliyev noted that the Armenian government ignores any of our statements related to the start of the negotiations on a peace agreement. So if we do not have a peace agreement with Armenia, it means that there is no peace. There is no peace not only between the two countries, but also in the South Caucasus. We need peace and sustainable development, forecasting zero war risk. We do not need war. We didn't need a war before. President İlham Aliyev said that in participation in the South Caucasus that serves the cause of peace, reconciliation, development and cooperation is much appreciated. The head of state reiterated that Azerbaijan is ready to move forward and contribute to regional stability. Romanian Foreign Minister Bogdan Aurescu regarded this visit as the result of discussions held during an informal meeting of European Union foreign ministers in Lisbon in May. Bogdan Aurescu said the issue of regional conflicts were also discussed at the meeting initiated by Romania and noted that the European Union intends to be more actively involved in the region to participate in the settlement of conflicts and as for the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict to intensify its efforts to engage in development processes in the post-conflict period if the parties agree. Noting that current visit is aimed at the preparing for the Eastern Partnership Summit to be held at the end of the year, the head of the Romanian Foreign Ministry stressed that Azerbaijan has an important role for the European Union and that is a strategic energy partner and the European Union's largest trading partner in the region. For us, Azerbaijan is of a great importance for the stability and prosperity of the South Caucasus. We appreciate Azerbaijan as an example of tolerance, multiculturalism and interreligious dialogue. I know that during your presidency you have done a lot to achieve all this, said Bogdan Aurescu. Stressing that the region is going through a post-conflict period, Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg noted the importance of the transition thereafter to a peace period and a stage of a stable peace settlement. Noting that the European Union shows great interest in the region, including its economic sphere, the head of the Austrian Foreign Ministry said that the European Union interacts with the OSCE on many issues of the region. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis recalled with satisfaction his visit to Azerbaijan that took place several months ago. Noting that within the framework of this visit an exchange of views was held on a number of issues, he stressed that the current visit provides an opportunity to continue discussions.
On June 24th, President İlham Aliyev and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva viewed conditions created at Gülistan Palace after renovation.
Gülistan Palace was constructed on the initiative of national leader Heydar Aliyev in 1979-1980. The construction of this palace was constantly under the personal control of the great leader. He made regular recommendations and instructions for the implementation of work at a high level. It was no coincidence that the Gülistan Palace was considered one of the most modern and unique examples of architecture in the former Soviet Union and beyond. The construction of this palace, which gave the overall architectural appearance of Baku a special character, was an integral part of the activities carried out by the great leader at the time in the development of our capital. During the construction of the palace, elements of the national architecture of Azerbaijan were widely used in its architecture. During all this time, the Gülistan Palace, distinguished by its splendor, architectural style and uniqueness, hosted many events of national and international scale which have historical significance and relate to various spheres. Over time, it became necessary to renovate the Gülistan Palace. Under the leadership of President İlham Aliyev, consistent measures have been taken in our country to implement projects in connection with the development and modernization of social infrastructure, first improve the appearance and beautification of the capital as elsewhere in Azerbaijan, at the same time preserve the historical appearance of Baku and restore historical buildings. Reconstruction of the Gülistan Palace on instructions of the head of state has an important place in a number of works carried out in this regard. The Gülistan Palace in Baku was renovated, preserving its unique architectural style. During the reconstruction work, the main hall with 600 seats, as well as the east hall and the conference hall of the palace, were brought to the modern level. Located in the highland part of the capital, the Gülistan Palace is one of the most beautiful places from where you can admire the Baku Bay and the panoramic view. The reconstruction of the palace will undoubtedly contribute to the organization of international events by Azerbaijan at a high level and in the post-pandemic period.
That was all for the week. Thank you for being with us, and see you next Sunday.